But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll tell a story now. I want to hear a story. Since I'm a storyteller and all. Alright, let's see. Magic story. I'll tell you, one time I was playing Delver. And I wasn't playing against a great opponent, but I was playing Blue-White Delver in Standard. And I just remember I used to play Hero Delver with Geist and Hero Bladehold with Mutagenic Growth. And it was really good. And I was running it that season. And I got in the top 4, and I was playing against this guy, and he had a flipped Huntmaster. And he had a flipped, and he had a Kessig with like 8 lands. Story time with Uncle Jody. Yeah, so he had the Kessig out, so he used the Kessig to pump. Huntmaster, he gained 2 life, and he made a wolf. And then it flipped, and he shocked me. And all I have out is a Geist of Saint draft, okay? My opponent's probably around 14. I might have got 1 hit in on it, you know, and then, so he decides, and I got 5 cards in my hand, and 4 of them are lands, and 1 of them is a Mutagenic Growth. And so I decide to just tank for a little while, and I'm just in disbelief that I'm just going to lose because I drew all these damn lands, you know. I'm playing Pioneer in my deck, I got all these lands in my hand. So I'm like, shit, man, because that deck was very powerful. And I was looking at it, I was like, but, you know, I kept my game face on, and I was just like, go. You know, I thought for a little while, and then I passed the turn. I didn't play a land. You know, that was the important part. So I passed the turn, so my opponent's thinking, man, this dude's got all kinds of shit in his hand. You know, he's got 4 lands in play, he's got Snapcast, he's got Vapor Snag, he's got all kinds of shit happening. You know, I'm scared of this Geist. So he kind of bricks, and he decides to attack for 2 with the wolf. And then I start to think, you know, I'm like, you know, kind of sell a little bit, but you don't want to oversell it, because if you oversell it and then, you know, you do nothing, then they're going to just know you're full of shit. So you just sit there and you think for a second, you're like, look at the life totals, ask them what they're at, you know, don't ask them what they got for life total, just ask them what they're at, because then that'll put in their mind that you're trying to kill them. So then they might get a little defensive, like, oh, this guy's trying to kill me. You know, it's just little tricks, little things. You got to put it all together to try and sell it. So I'm like, oh yeah, what are you at? He's like, 14. I was like, all right, man, no blocks, right? So then it's like no blocks, and I just drew 2 lands in a row. Then it's my turn. I draw another land. I'm like, and I got like Seachrome Ghost. I could be playing the Seachrome Ghost tap, but I'm just like, I said 14, right? 14 and 14, is that what you got? Yeah, alright. So you're at 14? Yeah. You know, touch the Geist a little bit. And then you're like, alright, you're up, you're up. So dude untaps, you know, and then he thinks, and then he's like, he's got 4/4 trample on a 2/2. And he's got Kessig that he can just pump all the mana into. So then he's like, combat. And I was like, alright, come on. So then he attacks with the wolf. And then I'll think about it. I kind of hit him with the same shit, but not exactly the same way, you know. Just kind of look at the life total. And I'm like, yeah, man, I got no blocks. And then they think. They think. And then he's like, alright, yeah, take 2. I was like, alright, yeah, taking 2, taking 2. Going down 12. Man, I drew another land again. Can't believe it. So now I got a full grip. So eventually I end up catching a Ponder at some point, but I remember drawing a couple lands in a row and my hand being 6 lands and 1 Mutagenic Growth at some point. You know, which I'm never gonna block with this Geist unless I'm gonna die. Like if you attack with the Huntmaster, I'd have blocked and Growth for sure, but not just the wolf. So I ended up catching a Ponder, which got me a Snapcaster, which turned into a Snapcaster for a bounce spell, Vapor Snag, you know, and then it just turned the game up on him. And it was just like a beautiful thing, you know, because the thing is, you got to stay in the game the whole time, the whole game. When you think you're going to lose, you might not lose. Similar instance happened. I'll tell you this story. This one's actually great, all right? And this is going to wrap up the stream right here. So I was at the Grand Prix Louisville, and to set the premise of the story, I started day 1 9-0 with lands, right? That's my deck. So I'm playing lands, and I'm over here, and let me pull up the deck list right here. This wasn't the deck list I was playing at the time, but basically I started 9-0. Then I show up day 2 and I catch a draw. Then I beat Wesco, I beat some Infect guy, and then, you know, we got 3 rounds to go, and I catch an Omni Show match, which is not the greatest, and I lost. And then I caught another one on a feature match and lost. So then I was like, basically at a top 8. I needed to win, and I needed like a lot of help to top 8. And I was like, man, what am I gonna do? get paired up against this guy. And in between rounds, I ended up going outside for a smoke break, but it was like 12 degrees, so I was smoking in the car. And then I walked back inside, and I left my bag in the car, and they paired. So I walk up and sit down. Now, most people don't know this, but I have an agent. Okay, I got this guy who's like a good friend of mine who doesn't really play Magic anymore, but he'll show up and just to watch me play pretty much, and he'll be like my coach in the corner. And he's kind of turned me up my Magic game since November, because there's a lot of things when you go to Magic tournaments that you don't realize, especially when the adrenaline's flowing. You know, you're sitting over here playing some Magic, and you're like, all right, yeah, and you'll just be grinding wins, and then you'll just forget to eat. Like, you know, I did a 30-hour stream on Friday. I might have ate twice. You know, that shit ain't healthy, and it's not really great for when you're trying to compete. You know, you really got to be eating something. You know, or you forget to just go walk outside and take a walk. You know, sometimes you just gotta go take a walk. You know, especially when you're playing in these deep tournaments. So I'm over here like, got my deck in the car. Yeah, I'm talking about Patrick. Got the deck in the car, and then I'm going to sit down. They paired, and I don't have the deck. So what do? I'm like, Pat, yo, though, you gotta run and get that deck out of the car. You know, so he runs and go gets the car. I'm gonna thank all the followers after. He runs and go get the deck out of the car. And so while I'm sitting there, you know, I called the judge on myself. I was like, yo, judge, forgot my deck in the car. It's freezing cold outside. Please feel sorry for me. You know, I left it in the trunk. My boy's running to go get it. Okay, so he's like, okay, well, if he doesn't come back within 10 minutes, it's a match loss. So as soon as he said that, in my mind, I'm like, well, I already got a game loss. You know what I'm saying? So sure enough, you know, we're sitting there, and a judge walks up behind me. He looks like he's about to deck check the match to the right. So my opponent, he had a foreign accent, and so whenever I hear accent, you know, I've done some traveling. I like to find out where they're from. I'm not great with all the accents. Couldn't recognize it. You know, I used to drive a cab. I could recognize most accents. I didn't recognize it. So I was like, hey man, where you from? He says, we'll talk after the match. I said, where? And he's like, we'll talk after the match. And I was like, wait, where's that? And he was like, we'll talk after the match. And I was like, oh shit, man, Mr. Serious Business over here. And I told him just like that, Mr. Serious Business over here. Oh, I respect your mind, bro. I like your hustle right there. All right, that's cool. Serious business, let's do it, man. I like it. You know, fucking, they got the judge over here just hearing it all. He's about to swoop in on his deck check, and then my opponent's like, yo, judge, can I go to the bathroom? And I was like, oh shit, he's going to the bathroom. And the judge is like, yeah, sure, go to the bathroom. And he's like, can you watch my deck? We're playing Legacy, you know. He's like, can you watch my deck? He's like, well, I'm not really going to be here that long. We're just tipping off this deck check over here. And so he's like, well, he's like, you can bring it with you if you want. He's like, okay, I'll bring it with me. So he brings it with him to go to the bathroom. Then the judge swoops in on his deck check. And I'm just kind of laughing. I'm like, man, I'm surprised they didn't get tipped off, you know. Because I used to judge. I was like, I'm surprised they getting tipped off by what you told my opponent. And he was like, yeah, you know, it made me a little nervous. I didn't know how to answer that question. I was like, yeah, man. I said, whew, you know. And so this guy who's getting deck checked is sitting over here like, whoa, dude, you're about to take my deck. Like, he ain't never been deck checked before. And he's like, can I look at it first? And the judge is like, well, you can look at it, but you can't change it. So it doesn't really change anything if you look at it. So he's like, okay, cool. You know, so he ends up taking the decks. And I was like, before he walked up, I was like, yo, judge, what do I do? My opponent's in the bathroom. He's like, oh, yeah, whenever he comes back, just tell a judge, and they'll give you a time extension. I'm like, oh, perfect. So then Patrick swoops in. Why are you salty? He swoops in with my deck before my opponent gets back. Opponent gets back, and then now the opponent's sliding in the seat. And when the opponent's sliding in the seat, I grab another judge, third judge. Yo, judge, yeah. Look, my opponent just got back from the bathroom. Last judge said we were supposed to get a time extension. What's up with that? You know, because I'm trying to lock in this time extension. I'm not trying to get a game loss. You know, I thought I might have been getting a game loss, you know. So I'm like, yo, judge, what's up? Judge is like, yo, you know, oh, wait, what judge said you're getting a time extension? I said, the judge just did the deck check on his table right here. You know, he was like, he looked like this, you know, da-da-da-da-da. He's like, well, what judge? I said, the one doing the deck check. Because I was like, all right, make sure you go talk to that guy. So he goes to talk to that guy, comes back, all right, cool, y'all get a game, y'all get a time extension. All right, cool, y'all can start playing. So we start playing. He goes turn 1, death right, turn 2, true name, whoops my ass. If I had a game loss, match over. Boom. So he whoops my ass with his true name. I board in chalices because I was playing chalices. Game 2, I go turn 1 chalice. You know, that locked him out of the game pretty much. Easy 20-20, easy game, no surgical, didn't have anything to worry about. So we go to game 3, I board all the chalices. And we get in this fight where he plays a true name because he had 2 fetch lands, so I couldn't waste him off the true name. He gets the true name down. Then I like double blow up his land. Then he ends up doing a little ponder and he forced something maybe. Now, I wasn't dredging loam because I was trying to draw a crop rotation to try and get something for this true name, you know. And I got a natural tabernacle. I drew the tabernacle, so it's out there. So he's paying for his true name. Then he ends up playing a Gurmag Angler while I'm at 12. He just attacked me at 12. We played Gurmag. Right, he's got 2 lands out. I got Ghost Quarter in my hand. I've been drawing, taking natural draws, and I've been drawing natural loams. And I've been loaming back to Ghost Quarters. And so I draw, and I'm like, draw, and it's like some bullshit land. I was like, oh my god, another Ghost Quarter. I'm like, shit. You know, where's my crop rotation? Where's my gamble? Where's my business at right now? And so I end up just playing a land, Ghost Quartering. I played a Ghost Quarter him down to 2 lands. And then I pass the turn, and then he goes, pay for my 2 creatures, attack you for 8, put you to 4, which makes the fish lethal. And then he attacks me for 4, and then he passes the turn. And I'm like, come on, baby, we need a rubber crop rotation for this Glacial Chasm, for this Wasteland, something. You know, I mean, I wasn't thinking Wasteland would just put him out. I was just thinking we need something. Let's draw. We need something. We need Glacial Chasm for this true name. That's all I'm thinking in the moment right now, you know. And I rip, not really assessing the game, and I rip. Boom, what is it? Wooded Foothills. Worst land in my deck right now. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the board. I'm like, fuck, man, I didn't dredge this turn. I'm like, I'm dead. You know how you draw and you like look around in disbelief. You're like, well, I fucking died. You know? That's how I was looking. And then not only that, you got to look at the whole part of it. I just was 9-0, took a draw with BBD, won 1, and then lost 2 in a row, and now I'm dead. And I'm like, it's all sinking in on me. I'm just sitting there and I'm looking around and I'm like, just can't believe this is the way it's going down. With my big ass hands, holding this hand of all fucking lands. I got stage depths. I ain't got no time to do none of this shit. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, fuck, man. You know, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, and then I'm like, well, I got to scoop or I got to pass the turn or I got to do something, you know. And then I was like, because I'm still playing against a real person right now. So I'm like, alright, dude, I played a Ghost Quarter. I Ghost Quarter him down on 1 land. You know, and now I got nothing but loam in my hand and fucking stage depths. I'm like, didn't even bother to cast the loam. I was like, go. You know, fuck it, go. So I got all this mana up, like 3 mana or whatever, and I got the Tabernacle. And I pass the turn just like, I'm dead. Go. Kill me already. I'm like, go. He's got 1 land. He gets to pay for the true name or the fish. And I'm at 4. So you're supposed to pay for the fish and attack me for 5. I'm dead. Alright? So, but he starts to think. And I'm like, well, what the hell is this guy thinking about? This dude's over here thinking like, what is he thinking? You know, why did you pay for the fish, kill me? Because I already know, because I can see my hand, you know. But then sometimes you don't realize, like, people be thinking some wild shit Magic. So I'm like, well, what is he thinking? I try and always get on my opponent's level. Well, what is he thinking? Maybe I could sell it more, you know. So he's over here thinking, he's like, and I'm like, he's thinking about crop rotation for Mazavith. That's what he's thinking. He's thinking I got a crop rotation for Mazavith, which is going to maze the fish. But I can't maze the true name. So to him, he's thinking, well, shit, if I keep the true name, and he's more biased towards the true name because you got to look at how all the games are played. That's another thing about playing Magic, you know. So in the first game, he whooped my ass with a true name. So he's more sold on his true name than ever. So he's like, thinking. So then I'm like, ooh, shit, I got to pretend like I'm alive over here. So I'm like over here looking at my hand, shuffling my hand, put the looks on him. Then I'm just like in his head, like I'm like, fuck this up, please. Fuck this up, please. And I'm just like mugging him, like just like mugging him with the cards in my hand. I'm like, got these cards. You ready? You ready? You ready? You know. And so then he thinks and he thinks and he thinks and he thinks, and then finally decides to not pay for the fish, pay for the true name. And then as soon as he did that and he sacked his fish, I was like, now don't draw a land. Dude, like that. That's what I was thinking. I was like, now don't draw a land. Dude, draw no land. Tack you to 1. I'm like, fuck, take it. I'm like, well, he's going to force me now. Untap, draw, loam, get back to his Ghost Quarters. He was like, okay. And I'm like, oh, fuck, Ghost Quarter your land, go. And then he's like, okay. And then I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, go. It was like fucking, I thought he had something surgical, something on a Ghost Quarter, force for the loam to where I can't take him off his lands and kill me with the true name. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. I was just like, why is he thinking even crop rotation? See, he shouldn't have been thinking crop rotation right there. That's the advantage of playing a deck like lands because people don't really play against it much. Because if I had a crop rotation, he can't even beat me because I can go get a Glacial Chasm and then stay at 4, upkeep, go to 2, and then loan back the damn Ghost Quarter. take him off his land, kill the true name, then sec the chasm. So he's actually fucked, no matter what, on a crop rotation. And then I didn't even think about it till, like, I told the story, like, a week later. But if I had a crop rotation, I'd have cast the motherfucker on my turn, grabbed a wasteland, and killed both of his fucking lands, and then never had to worry about any of it. He wouldn't even had a choice on his upkeep. So I don't know what the fuck he got crop rotation in his head, and I kept it in his head, and I kept looking at him like I had something. Right after I was just looking around like, oh my god, my fucking life sucks, you know? And so it was like this big roller coaster, right into him sacking his true name, and then to ice the fucking cake, the beauty of it all, he untaps with no permanents after sacking his fucking true name, draws a card, and then just snaps Surgical's my fucking loam. He's like, Surgical your loam. And so I know when I show him my hand, he's going to be looking for this fucking crop rotation. So I just lay my hand out. He looks at the shit, stage depths, fucking wooded foothills, right? And then he's like, oh man. Shook his head like, oh man, like he was just expecting to see a fucking crop rotation right there. Showed him the combo. I'm only playing one land a turn, right? And then so he looks through my deck, exiles my loams, and then I untap and I fucking draw with our rip, fucking Expiration. Expiration, 2020, go. You got one turn to draw a fucking red man if you got a bolt. Boom. Draw it dead. And I fucking laughed at him because I was like, how could I not? Like, fucking, I can't believe what the fuck just happened, dude. Like, and his friend, he's friends with Daniel Ward. I don't know if you knew that guy, but I just met that guy at the Invitational, and so he's been wanting to hear my side of the story this whole time. And so I told it to him just like I told it to you, and it's gonna go on YouTube, and like, just the sickest shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, you always stay in the game, y'all. Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself, dude. You're always in the game, no matter what kind of hit you take. And this, you know, is a parody. This is a parody of life, you know. Like, definitely, you're always in it. If you got fucking life, then guess what? You're in it to win it, baby. And don't ever live any other way. That's it. And so, turns out he didn't want to talk after the game. And I just wanted to get his name. I mean, I didn't want to get his name. I just want to find out where he's from. He wanted to talk after the game, and then he lied to me because he didn't want to talk after the game, so... Anyway, busted him up, got that 9th place, just to rub it in, you know, got my little stack, got some little land stuff, so, yeah, no, man, don't ever give up on the game, man. I mean, y'all see it on the stream all the time, the comeback kid, you stay in the fucking game, and you win some shit you ain't got no business winning, and then it just makes for a great story, and you laugh about it, and it's fucking great, you know, so fucking, always stay in the game, y'all, you know, just remember that, don't be scooping early. Now, there's some strategic scoops that you make, like I've definitely scooped early, but you got to really calculate those, because the thing about it is you definitely win just about any game. As long as you're in the game, you can always win it. It's crazy. I've won some crazy ones living in. You know, I'm not gonna go into any more stories for y'all, but that's the theme of all the stories. That's the theme of how we play Magic. You got to stay in the game. You got to be in it to win it. So don't put yourself out. But I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. And I know I was telling a story, so I missed all the new